Michael J. Subsequent to my last video, people question the fact that, well, Pierre Poilievre has all these policies. And I say, what? I thought I researched him as much as I could, and this guy's got no policies other than tax cuts and free markets. And I just stand by it. Now you can see his interview recently with Jordan B. Peterson. You can judge for yourself. Let's go to the main screen. You can see for yourself.
Okay, so there's a lot of distrust, generally speaking, in relationship to, I would say, establishment organizations and political elites all across the West. A lot of that well-earned. Why should Canadians believe that the vision that you just laid out is something that you hold personally dear and not merely what would you say, a set of carefully calculated campaign slogans?
Well, I look back at everything I've done for my entire political career to the time I was a teenager. You know, some people even dug up my old university essays, and I've been saying precisely the same thing the entire time. You know, when I was 20, I wrote an essay as Prime Minister I would, and the title was Building Canada on Freedom. And the entire piece was about making the government small and maximizing personal freedom. So that's basically what I'm doing now.
So you have consistency
well, there were
going
things,
for you.
when I launched my leadership race, I literally...
He's basically saying, and he's maintaining that, you know, prior to his political career, and he's been a politician all his life, but his education and his involvement with politics up through his education, and during his tenure under the Stephen Harper government, his prime operative is small government and freedom. That's what he said. You heard it.
Literally had the same language in my leadership launch speech that I had put in that essay 22 or 23 years earlier.
Okay, so his essay and his most recent speech is the same for 25 years. You heard it right from Mr. Poilievre's mouth.
And when I was part of the Harper government, we basically fought for and did the same things then that I'm proposing to do now.
Okay, and so when he was part of the Harper government, he's proposing the exact same things as he's proposing now. You just heard it yourself. I'll play it again just in case you got a brain fart happening there. You know, these brain farts
essay
come out of nowhere.
22 or 23 years
There's
earlier.
the essay.
And when I was part of the Harper government, we basically fought for and did the same things then that I'm proposing to do now.
So what they did with the Harper government and what he's fighting for is to do the basic same things he's purporting to do now, correct? Absolutely correct. So now here's where we run into a bit of an issue. And I'll explain it, because other people have also stated, well, it's gone into the crapper. And the only reason why it's gone into the crapper is ever since Trudeau took over. And everybody's blaming it on Trudeau. It's Trudeau. What's been the slogan of Mr. Poilievre? Carbon tax Trudeau. And then who replaces Trudeau? Guy by the name of Carney. Carbon tax Carney. In between Trudeau and Carney, there was a possibility it was a lady by Freeland, and it was carbon tax Freeland. So everything's been based in carbon tax. Now, there's two components of carbon tax. One's a consumer, and one's an industry thing. Industry thing is totally different from the consumer thing. And this is where, this is going to be a separate video, because we're going to have to discuss this, because industry carbon tax is a whole different ball game from the consumer carbon tax. And this is what a lot of people are not aware of, and nobody's made you aware of, and you've probably not researched it, so you've become aware of it. But let's go to let's go to the main screen here now, because we got some important stuff to show you. Some really big stuff. Really, let's go to the big screen, like the really big screen. Yikes! You got one of those? Yes, I do. There you go. Now, Prime Minister, total time in office. Stephen Harper, 9 years, 271 days. He was succeeded by a guy by the name of Justin Trudeau. 9 years, 130 days. Mr. Poilievre was part of the Stephen Harper government. So everything he did during that period in time, which has got us to where we are now, and I don't see how he has a fix for now if he's going to apply what he applied during the time under the Harper government. Like, everybody's blaming Trudeau for it, but let's try to be as fair as possible. You're going to say, how can we be fair as possible? You got left wing, you got right wing. You got socialists, you got conservatives. The problem is, everybody's trying to separate left, right, center, left, right. Doesn't matter where you come from. All that really matters is what you do for the people you're meant to serve. That's all. Don't create more separation than that. So now, over the last 20 years, because let's face it, we didn't get into this situation just overnight. And it didn't happen just since 2015. This has actually been heading this direction since 1971-72. Okay? But none of you people, and I don't mean to speak down, but nobody has been around long enough to understand. Nobody has the wherewithal to try to find out and understand, because nobody's memory is that good. Simple as that. So the problem is, and he just told you he's going to do what didn't work for the Stephen Harper government, because Justin Trudeau became the prime minister after. And I'm going to show you something else. Yikes. I got stuff to show you? Yeah. Okay. And I got a lot more. We can go a lot more deeper down this topic than what I'm going to here. We're just going to try and keep it simple. But the fact of the matter is, and everybody's got their arms up. Oh, pro-Rogan government. Well, can you believe after the 2008 federal election, in which the Conservatives won a larger minority, Harper prorogued Parliament to defeat a non-confidence motion? Can I make it any clearer than that? After the 2008 federal election, in which the Conservatives won a larger minority, Harper prorogued Parliament to defeat a non-confidence motion by a potential coalition of opposition parties. And he passed the Economic Action Plan of major personal income tax cuts and infrastructure investments in response to the Great Recession. So, to say this pro-Rogan government's a new thing and it's done, it's a tricky, this person, that person, people have been doing it for a long time, kids. It's been happening for a long time. So, here's the deal. This guy, Pierre Poilievre, been selling you a bad bag of goodies. Kind of like the Green Goblin. in the Spider-Man. Got the bag of goodies. There's a trick in every little bag of goodies. A lot of different tricks. So if he's going to apply what didn't work during the Stephen Harper tenure to now, then whatever he's going to apply is not going to work. Simple as that. Because we are in different times and things need to be done much, much differently. And the fact of the matter is, in 2008, the Bank of Canada governor was who? They're not going to give him any credit, but the Bank of Canada governor was a guy by the name of Mark Carney. Stephen Harper hired him because he needed somebody to help out to get the country out of that Great Recession of 2008. Just saying, folks. Meanwhile, the 2008 recession was created by the Americans, totally friggin' broke the world's economy, which, is rather unfortunate because the Americans have had the privilege of being the reserve currency of the world for everybody to use, and they've abused that privilege over and over again. And that's why they've been able to run deficits higher than anywhere else because of that privilege of having the reserve currency of the world. And for that privilege, they're supposed to provide security for the free world. Simple as that. Let's see what Mr. Poilievre has to add to what we said.
So as much as you can be assured of anything any political leader says, I've got evidence to back it up.
Okay, so one of the things that's been very distressing.
He's got a lot of evidence to back it up, and I provide a lot of evidence to show that what he just finished saying, his own words, of what he's going to take from the Stephen Harper tenure, which did not work then, that's why he ended up with the government of Justin Trudeau, is not going to work now.
To observe, I would say, and I'm going to use the UK as an example.
But, with B-U-T capitalized, comma, you got Jordan B. Peterson, that's a Trump lover. He loves Trump. And Trump's creating a lot of problems. That's what happens when you have a man-child that's a bully. Just saying, folks. Go ahead, Mr. Peterson.
The UK had 14 straight years of conservative government.
Yeah.
And, as far as I'm concerned, thank God for that, because it could have been Labour. But having said that, they fell 100% prey to the blandishments of the net zero types and brought forward really a catastrophic energy policy. And the UK is suffering dreadfully for that. And their immigration policy, Keir Starmer apologized for it, which was something remarkable to behold, and so did Kemi Badenoch, who now runs the Conservatives in the UK. Now, the reason I'm bringing them up as an example is because, well, they were a Conservative government, and they certainly didn't govern by anything approximating Conservative principles. And so how do you feel about the probability that if the Conservatives in Canada take power, that they'll be enticed into this global utopian delusion that seems to have enveloped so many leaders, kind of regardless of their political stripe? What do you think, if anything, can inoculate you or has inoculated you against that?
I know better.
Yikes. He knows better. Well, he's letting you know he knows better. He's an authority on the matter.
Well, elaborate.
Elaborate.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to do that.
What? I'm not going to do that? Is that not a holy crap moment? How'd we end up getting all the way back there? Holy moly. Should be right around here. Holy moly, how did it go back to us on that point? Holy moly. Okay.
Well, I look back at everything I've done for my entire political career.
No, that's not
Thing
there.
to do now. So as much as you can be assured of anything any political leader says, I've got evidence to back it up.
Okay, so one of the things that's been very distressing to observe, I would say, and I'm going to use the UK as an example. I mean, the UK had 14 straight years. They fell 100% prey to the blandishments of the net zero types and brought forward really a catastrophic energy policy. And the UK is suffering dreadfully for that. And their immigration policy, I mean, Keir Starmer apologized for it, which was something remarkable to behold, and so did Kemi Badenoch, who now runs the Conservatives in the UK. Now, the reason I'm bringing them up as an example is because, well, they were a Conservative government, and they certainly didn't govern by anything approximating Conservative principles. And so how do you feel about the probability that if the Conservatives in Canada take power, that they'll be enticed into this global utopian delusion that seems to have enveloped so many leaders, kind of regardless of their political stripe? What do you think, if anything, can inoculate you or has inoculated you against that?
I know better.
He knows better.
Well, elaborate. What do you mean?
I'm not going to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
Okay, so there's a lot of...
So there you go. He knows better. And he's not going to elaborate. All he's got, he's going to reincorporate what happened during the Stephen Harper government, bring it forward to now, and that's his plan. And as I said to everybody, all he's going to do is tax cuts and free markets. If you're going to do tax cuts, you got to get the money from programs. Money's got to come from programs. It's not a zero-sum type of investment. And don't confuse a zero-sum investment with a net zero energy. So net zero and zero-sum economics are two different things. And it may be hard for you to understand. We're not going to try and wrap your head around that right at this point in time. But this is why I say, guy's got no plan. He's just told you, and he's not going to tell you what his plan is because he doesn't have a plan. He's just going to regurgitate stuff under the Stephen Harper tenure. He's got no innovation. He's not creative enough to come up with something that is meant to be for the times because he does not have the experience. It's as simple as that. So anyways, I just wanted to get this out there. If you have questions, comments, please throw in chat. And use your own judgment. And what do I mean by that? Do your research. Don't buy into whatever any politician tells you as being a de facto standard for you to judge your actions by. Know what works best for you, what works best for your family, neighbor, and for the country. With the understanding that a budget for a house or even a business is not the same as a budget for a government, provincially, municipally, or even federally. They're different ball games, each one of them. So questions, comments, throw in chat. Love and peace to everyone. Stay safe. And remember, when things are spiraling out of control, do what my buddies do. Take a nap. Ciao for now. Thanks for watching.